naman si protection para sa ating mga
Ang experience namin
parang ayaw gusto ko bigyan ng diis pasilidad.
Magandang gabi, ako po ang inyong lingkod, Brother Eddie Villanueva. Ito po ang programang Diyos at Bayan, ang programang patuloy na naninindigan sa katotohanan, katarungan at katwiran. Habang naghihintay ang Pilipinas sa hatol ng International Tribunal sa protestang inihain nito kaugnay sa pag-angkin sa mga teritoryong sakop ng Pilipinas, patuloy naman ang pagtatayo ng mga makabagong pasilidad ng China sa West Philippine Sea. Nito ngang huli, ikinabahala ng international community ang pagdadala raw ng China ng mga missile launchers at armor sa mga artificial islands na itinayo nito. Tanong tuloy ng marami, indikasyon nga ba ito ng higit na militarisasyon sa pinag-aagawang mga teritoryo? Ano ang mas malaking implikasyon nito sa seguridad at istabilidad ng rehiyon? Pero bago po yan, panuorin muna natin ang ulat na ito.
Isa na namang maliit na islang hawak ng Pilipinas ang nakuha ngayon ng China. Ito'y base sa ilang mga ulat ng presensya ng 5 barko ng China sa Quirino o Jackson Atoll. Ang Quirino o Jackson Atoll ay maliit na isla na malapit sa Palawan at lugar kung saan kadalasang nangingisda ang ilan sa mga Pilipinong mangingisda. Kasalukuyan pa ngayong biniberipika ng Department of Foreign Affairs ang katotohanan ng ulat.
Well, naghintay pa kami ng official confirmation from our concerned agencies. Pero of course, this is something that be a cause for concern if true.
Bago ang insidenteng ito ay lumabas din ang mga ulat ng pag-deploy naman ng China ng mga surface-to-air missiles sa West Philippine Sea. Ayon sa ulat, namataan ang missile batteries sa Huli Island na siyang pinakamalaking isla sa Paracels Islands na pinag-aagawan ng Vietnam, China at Taiwan. Bagay na kinumpirma naman ng China. Samantala, sa satellite image na ipinalabas ng Center for Strategic and International Studies o CSIS sa Washington, lumitaw na mayroon ng isang high-frequency radar installation sa Spratly Islands, lighthouse, underground bunker, helipad at communications equipment na inilagay ng China sa mga artipisyal na islang gawa nito. Ang mga aksyong ito ng China na tila militarisasyon ng West Philippine Sea ay agad na kinundinan ng Pilipinas.
Lahat ito ay in violation ng kasunduan sa pagitan ng ASEAN at China, yung 2002 Declaration on the Conduct of Parties in the South China Sea. Itong mga actions ng China ito ay nagpapataas lalo sa tensyon dito sa region at they are undermining yung peace and stability and security ng ating region dito.
Ang mapayapang pagbibigay solusyon sa problema ng agawan ng teritoryo, paggalang sa kalayaang maglayag at maglipad, at pagtutol sa anumang militarisasyon sa lugar ang ilan lamang sa 17 panawagang nilalaman ng Sunny Lands Declaration na nabuo matapos ang ginanap na US-ASEAN Summit sa Amerika noong Pebrero.
Freedom of navigation must be upheld and lawful commerce should not be impeded. I reiterated that the United States will continue to fly, sail, and operate wherever international law allows, and we will support the right of all countries to do the same.
Sa kabila ng mga ginagawang pagpapalakas ng China sa West Philippine Sea, nilinaw ni Pangulong Aquino na walang balak ang Pilipinas na makipaggiyera sa China.
To our west and north, the world's second largest economy and a nuclear power at that. Let me make it clear. We have zero ambitions in terms of arming ourselves with our own weapons of mass destruction. We have no plans of trying to come up with some sort of deterrence against the military might of that superpower.
Ayon sa DFA, ilang taon ding sinubukan ng Pilipinas ang pagkakaroon ng bilateral talk sa China kaugnay ng sigalot sa West Philippine Sea. Ngunit ni isa sa mga naging pagpupulong ay walang pinatunguhan. Sa ngayon ay hinihintay na lang ng Pilipinas ang magiging desisyon ng UN Arbitral Tribunal sa The Hague, Netherlands ukol sa arbitration case na isinampa ng Pilipinas laban sa China. Kampante ang DFA na magiging positibo ang desisyon ng UN pabor sa Pilipinas. Gayunpaman muling nagmatigas ang China at iginiit na hindi nito kinikilala ang kasong isinampa ng Pilipinas.
Well, hindi overnight ito, no? Kahit lumabas yung desisyon, hindi natin ina-expect na kinabukasan ay pwede na umalis ang mga Chinese. This will take many years, no, bago but still we believe that China will come around, no. Marirealize niya na mas mabuti pa rin na sumunod siya sa magiging desisyon ng tribunal.
Para naman sa ilan nating mga kababayan,
dapat magkaroon din tayo lahat ng mga Pilipino. Magkaroon tayo muli siguro ng kung merong people power noong 1986, siguro people power din doon sa laban sa mga inchik.
Hindi natin kayang labanan ng China, paano yan? Kailangan ng international pakikialam, tulong ng mga international community.
Una-una, nakapwesto na yung China doon. Wala naman tayong magagawa, di ba? Wala naman tayong armas na panlalaban doon.
hanggang saan nga ba ang kaya nating gawin bilang pagtatanggol sa ating teritoryo? Patuloy na tumutok dito lamang sa programang naninindigan sa katotohanan, katarungan at katwiran. Diyos at Bayan.
Nagbabalik po ang Diyos at Bayan. Ating tatalakayin ngayong gabi ang paksang Agawan ng Teritoryo. Bago natin simulan ang ating talakayan, para sa ating mga masugid na televiewers, live po ang Diyos at Bayan ngayon mula alas 8 hanggang alas 9 ng gabi. Dito po sa Light Network, Channel 33. At muli po itong mapanood sa GMA News TV Channel 11 at GMA Channel 7 sa mga araw at oras na nakikita ninyo sa inyong mga TV screens. Kaya naman para sa ating mga tagapanood, pwede na kayong sumali sa aming talakayan. You may send comments or ask questions to our guests sa magitan ng pagtawag sa mga numero na nasa inyong TV screen. Pwede rin kayong mag-send ng mga tanong o komento sa ating Facebook at Twitter page. Maaari ring mapanood ang Diyos at Bayan via live stream. Pumunta lang sa website link na nasa inyong TV screens. At ngayon po ay nais kong ipakilala sa inyo ang ating resource persons. Pinalad po tayong makasama natin ang dalawang personalidad sa ating bansa na masasabi pong established institutions in history as far as public service is concerned. Most particularly, dito po sa paksa nating pag-uusapan, Agawan ng Teritoryo. Tungkol po sa security, territorial security, and sovereignty ng ating bansa. Nais ko pong unang ipakilala, walang iba kung hindi ang sinasabing the number one genius ever produced ng military sector ng ating bansa in history. Dating National Security Advisor to of the Republic of the Philippines, and Director General ng National Security Council. Walang iba po kundi si Secretary Jose T. Almonte. Magandang gabi po.
Magandang gabi po, Brother Eddie. Masalamat po.
At ganoon din po, another former National Security Secretary ng ating Republic of the Philippines, nung panahon po ng former President GMA, dating Director General din ng National Security Council at kilalang walang iba kundi si Congressman Roylo Goles. Magandang gabi po.
Magandang gabi po, Brother Eddie, General Monte, magandang gabi.
Thank you.
Well, siguro po ang unang tanong na ano po ang masasabi ninyo sa pinakabagong development ngayon sa Philippine Sea, yung pagkupkob ng isa sa mga island na malapit sa Palawan, yung tinatawag na Quirino o Jackson Atoll, at 5 barko po ng China ay kasalukuyang nandun ngayon at nagbabantay. Secretary General Almonte, ano po inyong masasabi sa ganitong development?
Brother Eddie, this indicates what had been anticipated the last few months when perceptions tell us that perhaps the UN Permanent Court of Arbitration may make a decision May or June, and possibly favorable to the Philippines. Now, these activities of China, particularly this recent one, perhaps is designed to more or less strengthen, quote-unquote, the position, whatever that means, before the release of the decision of the arbitration court.
Sa analysis ninyo, Gerald Monte, lately or for the last few months, nagkakaisa ang majority ng mga bansa sa ating mundo. Masasabi natin, lalo na sa ASEAN sector, na masyadong foul itong ginagawa ng People's Republic of China in reacquiring these territories belonging to other countries. Ano po what could be the real reason behind this seemingly shameful
In the history, Brother Eddie, no one has ever been awarded an entire sea, international commons, to be a private property of a nation state. Now, this claim by the so-called nine-dash line of China is something that, if allowed, may change the foundation of the law of the sea. And this will be a development that will threaten or loosen the current system that provides stability in the international system. So they are all concerned. If I may just add, just for
Please,
us to,
please,
you know, China did not, although I understand the decision of the Permanent Court of Arbitration is binding to all parties, but China refuses to recognize it and claim that they will not follow it. But it doesn't mean that the decision does not have any meaning insofar as world order is concerned. The United States, the Group of Seven, the EU, the Asia-Pacific nations, for that matter, Southeast Asia, the region you mentioned, all of these are one in supporting the decision that may come out in the arbitration court. And this will be a big pressure on China, who claims or has ambition to become a global leader. So if they do not listen to the international, to the opinion of the international community, it will have a very serious impact on their credibility as a responsible power. So I think even if, you know, the other claimants, or like us, we are not claiming the West Philippine Sea. It is our maritime entitlement according to the UNCLOS. So that is the one that is embedded in the occupied and violated by China. Brother Eddie, I think in the end, I think the world opinion will be on our side, and hopefully China will reconsider its arrogant claim.
Congressman Goles, being a former national security secretary ng ating bansa during the time of Arroyo's government, ano po sa palagay ninyo, bakit, ano ang malakas na pwersang nagbunsod sa China after many decades? Bakit ngayon nila naisipang gawin tong obviously shameful invasion ng various islands owned by different countries?
Ang simpleng sagot dyan, Brother Eddie, because they can. Dahil kaya nilang gawin. Kasi noong una, hindi nila kayang gawin dahil hindi pa sila ganun kalakas. Nung kami nag-landing diyan, kasama ako sa landing diyan, 1971, kami nagdala ng armas, mga sundalo, equipment doon sa iba-ibang mga isla natin na tinatawag natin Kalayaan Island.
Kalayaan Island.
Ni anino ng mga barko nila, wala kami nakita. Ang naging ka-stand off lang namin yung dalawang barko ng Taiwan. Kasi nung panahon na yon, Taiwan noon pa man hawak nila Ituaba, which was talagang pinakamalaking island sa Spratlys. Kaya lumapit sila sa amin at inusisa kung ano ginagawa namin. Pero ang ni anino ng China, wala. But lately, nagsimula sila ng maging aggressive. Doon sa Mischief Reef, 1994, mga bandang December, nagkaroon ng balita na meron silang ginawang temporary structure doon. Nung sila ay kinonfronta ng ating gobyerno, Department of Foreign Affairs, nagsalita sila na parang pag-amin na hindi kanila yung lugar. Sabi nila, pasensya na kayo, temporary shelter ito ng aming mga fishermen kung medyo masama ang panahon. Huwag kayong mag-alala, temporary shelter. Medyo naniwala ang gobyerno ng panahon na yon. Siguro, kung nagkaroon ng confrontation, baka kaya pa natin, no? Kaya lang, tumahimik. Pero bandang 1999, nabalitaan na meron silang ginagawang permanent structure. Ako mismo, nakasakay sa C-130. Kasama ko si Congressman Roro Baker ng California, who's very interested in Asian affairs. Sumakay kami at lumipad kami ng napakababa, 500 feet halos. At kitang-kita, makikita mo yung mga mata ng mga nagtatrabaho doon sa Mischief Reef na permanente kang ginagawa. Ang daming, After that, I stood up in the halls of Congress. Sabi ko, sa aking palagay, ang target nila, hindi lang ito, kundi Scarborough Shoal. 1999 yan, December 1999. Maraming nagsabi, alarmist ka masyado, Congressman Goles. Hindi sila naniwala sa akin. And true enough, 2012, after, kasi ang China gumagapang eh. Gagapang ng one step, tapos atras ng konti, tatahimik. Pag tumahimik na naman, gagapang naman. And after 13 years, inoccupy nila yung Scarborough Shoal. So, ngayon, yung ayungin, tinatarget nila. Nandiyan yung nakalanding yung LST Sierra Madre natin. And then, of late, itong Jackson, no? Quirino Atoll. Alam mo, pag titingnan mo yung karagatan natin between Palawan and Kalayaan Island Group into the deeper area, tad-tad yan ng mga malilit na mga lugar, no? Mga bababaw na lugar, dangerous grounds ang tawag dyan. Kasi ang daming nadaanan ko yun, nasa Navy ko, ilang beses ang bumalik sa Spratlys noon eh. Mga malilit na lugar, shoal, reef, atoll, ang dami niyan, mga 200 yata yan. Each of which, kung ikaw ay isang malaking bansa with construction capability, you can convert into an installation katulad ng ginawa nila. Di ba? Yan ang ginawa nila sa Pirate Cross Reef, Mischief Reef. Dati nakalubog yan. Pinutungan nila. And now, it's a big reclamation project. Yung Subi Reef, Gaben Reef, ang dami na yan. Tapos, tinatarget nila kung totoo ang ulat na ito kasi this is still subject to confirmation. Nung nakakita dyan, si Mayor Bitoonon. Ako naman, hindi magdududa kay Mayor Bitoonon. I know him personally. He's a patriot. He loves the country, Palawan. Nireport nga niya ito. Naniniwala ako na totoo ang sinasabi niya. At mukhang yan na naman ang tatargetin nila. Meron pa nga isang survey ship na nakita bandang Recto Bank. This was a few months ago. Yun ang mas nakakatakot. Kasi ang Recto Bank is a big body of water na reportedly rich in natural resources, natural oil, fish na medyo bandang norte, mas malapit sa Palawan, and it's another step going to Scarborough Shoal. Kaya ang sabi ko nga, ginagawa na ito because now they are a powerful country. They have a lot of ships, they're the biggest coast guard in the world. They're increasing their navy by so many frigates every year.
At,
They can. Kaya,
kitang-kita na.
At mukhang, Brother Eddie, I'm sorry, mukhang katulad sinabi ni General Monte, kinakabahan sila sa magiging unfavorable ruling ng Permanent Court of Arbitration. So they may be preempting, they are changing the facts on the ground. Ipipresent sa atin yung fait accompli para mas mahirap para sila tanggalin sa pamamagitan ng rule of law. Pero ako naniniwala rin sa sinabi ni General Almonte, and this has been my thesis for quite a long time, na it is easier said than done for China to say, we'll ignore it. Kasi US, EU, Australia, India, Japan already issued a statement, and this was also incorporated in the Sunnylands Accord, no? That they should follow the rule of law. And the ruling of the tribunal should be binding on all parties. At ang kagandahan dito, Brother Eddie, hindi lang tayo makikinabang dito. Makikinabang ang Malaysia, ang Vietnam, and the whole world. Kasi ito, ang tinatawag na yung, lalo na yung bandang gitna, global commons ito eh. Everybody, nobody owns it, everybody owns it.
Well, magandang explanation yan na nakapagbibigay ng pag-asa sa ating mamamayan. Secretary Almonte, nung panahon po ninyo na kayo ang Director General ng National Security Council, ay natala sa kasaysayan, you enlarged the scope of national security, not only territorial, geographic aspect, kung hindi economic, political, social, naging all-embracing ang understanding sa tinatawag na national security of the nation. Nung panahon po nyo na yun, naamoy nyo na po ba itong planong ito, itong shameless acts na ito, na pindano na po ba ito ng People's Republic of China?
Well, Brother Eddie, theoretically, that was within our understanding. But concretely, it was really only after mischief brief, as mentioned earlier by Congressman Goles, that we were able to more or less confirm the intention of China. If I may just proceed, we sense even before that China, since its reform in 1978, by that time, that was already about 20 years later, they could sense the improvement of their economy and the possibility that indeed they may be able to attain what they call the China dream, which is really for global leadership. And the South China Sea has always been, they view it as an integral part of their requirement for global leadership. And in fact, experts, these are nuclear submarine experts, used to tell us that what China needed, perhaps with that kind of ambition, is what the Soviet Union had before, the Sea of Okhotsk, which was their nuclear submarine pen, so to speak. Now, in this part of the world, from the Sea of Japan, the so-called East Sea, Yellow Sea, down to the South China Sea, they felt that this will be ideal for us. I think as late as 2 months ago, the Inquirer carried an article from quoting Chinese experts that the South China Sea will eventually be a nuclear submarine base, so to speak, of China, not just for the security of China, but insofar as this, their ambition, their larger ambition is concerned. Their goal was merely to deny. They had a strategy, they call it A2AD. This is anti-area denial, AD, and anti-access. Now, to implement this, they armed their ships with surface-to-surface missiles. Now they have improved. They have reclaimed these islets, which are like permanent, like a permanent aircraft carrier, that can carry these weapons. And lately, this is what has been of concern to the world, is a surface-to-air missile in the Woody Island. This is in the Paracel. And then militarizing the one in the south, in the Spratlys. And they are getting very near the Philippines. I think this latest atoll is how many? Maybe 80 miles from
Halfway,
Palawan
yeah.
or something like that. It's very near. And you know, that's only from here to Angeles, you know. And this is very serious.
Congressman Goles, very vocal ang United States of America in announcing, proclaiming na itong ginagawa ng China ay talagang threat, serious threat sa hegemony, sa tinatawag na peaceful condition ng nasabing international sea of trade. Ano ba yung trade route tungkol sa China Sea na sinasabing ito ay malaking threat ngayon. Pero bakit itong United States ay wala namang ginagawa tungkol sa, very reluctant naman sila na i-challenge ang Chinese military dahil kaya sa interdependence ng American and Chinese economies. Ano pang masasabi niyo rito? Pero bago niyo po sagutin, bigyan mo ng sandali ng pagkakataon ang ilang mahalagang paalala. Magbabalik po agad ang No Holds Barred program ng Diyos at Bayan. Nagbabalik po ang No Holds Barred program ng Diyos at Bayan sa ating paksang Agawan ng Teritoryo. Bago po natin marinig ang reply ni Congressman Goles at ng ating pong Secretary Almonte tungkol po sa hanging question kanina, bigyan lang po natin sandali ng pagkakataon, mabasa ang ilang mga comments sa public. Mula kay Randy de Guzman ng Cainta Rizal, anong aksyon ang ginawa ng Administrasyong Aquino? Bakit ang lakas ng loob ng China upang panghimasukan? At 5 barko pa ang nakadaong sa ating isla na malapit sa Palawan. Mary Joy Santos naman po ng Quezon City. Magandang gabi, Brother Edith, sa inyong mga guests. Nakakatakot na po talaga ngayon ang mga balita. Dapat na talaga tayong magkaisa at magkaroon ng pananalig dahil ang mga nangyayari ngayon ay nakasaad sa Biblia. God bless Philippines. Mula kay Malu Perez ng Cavite, ano po ba ang tama at legal na pamamaraan ang dapat gawin ng gobyerno natin upang maprotektahan ang ating bansa laban sa pananakop ng China sa mga isla natin? Parang wala po kasi tayong kakayahang ipagtanggol ang ating teritoryo sa pananakop ng China. Mula naman kay Boy Santos ng Manila, ano po ang mangyayari sa ating mamamayang Pilipino kung masakop na ng China ang West Philippine Sea? Ito po ang ilang nanggaling sa ating mga participants. At siguro po ay balikan natin si Congressman Goles sa hanging question kanina na madalas banggitin ng Amerika, yung hegemony ng Asia Pacific ay naapektuhan nitong ganitong ginagawa ng China. Pero it appears, according sa observation ng marami, na US is not actually challenging the military acts of the Chinese government, na parang obviously raho ay meron silang interdependence sa kanilang respective economies.
Alam nyo, yung nangyayari ngayon, may tinatawag na dynamics yan, no? Parating mayroong internal debate sa mga policy makers, decision makers. Iba ang posisyon ng Department of State, even within. Meron silang mga disagreements doon. Iba ang posisyon ng Pentagon, Department of Defense, iba din ang White House. Ang White House, dahil kay President Obama, ang tingin ng mga tao parang kalapati, dove, no? Medyo peacenik, ayaw ng gulo. Pero ang Pentagon, lalo na sa Pacific Command, iba naman ang sinasabi nila. nagsimulang magbago ang mga statements na gagaling sa Estados Unidos noong magbandang May. Nung magkaroon ng turnover sa Pacific Command, Secretary Carter and the new Pacific Commander, Admiral Harris, issued statements. Sabi nila, we're going to enter, we're going to patrol anywhere we can. Make no mistake about it. Tapos naghintay tayo kung kailan ba magsisimula yung mga freedom of navigation patrols, medyo walang nangyayari. But finally, it happened, mga banda October, yung USS Lassen. Noong panahon na yon, marami nag-aabang. Ano kaya ang gagawin ng China dito? Pag itinuloy yung patrol na yan, supposedly within the 12 nautical mile limit of a feature nung ang pinili nila, Subi Reef. Sabi ko, ano kaya gagawin ng China? But the worst thing that China did was to summon the U.S. ambassador. Wala silang ginawa na masasabi natin medyo matigas, no? Kaya parang sabi namin, mukhang parang nagka-eyeball to eyeball at nag-blink ang China dito. But this started several other actions also. After the Sunnylands Declaration in California, ang bumulaga sa atin yung announcement nga na meron silang mga surface-to-air missiles, doon naman sa Paracels. That's outside the West Philippine Sea. Pero ang pangamba ng marami, at kasama sa pangamba ko yan, pag hindi magalit ang mundo rito, in accordance with the strategy of creeping invasion, one step forward, tahimik muna, pag walang reklamo, another step, then imimilitarize nila ang mga artificial islands, no? Lalo na yung tatlo. Fiery Cross Reef, which is a little outside our exclusive economic zone. Yung Subi Reef, nakatabi ng ating Pag-asa. It's about 12 nautical miles away. And then, Mischief Reef, which is well inside our exclusive economic zone. Pag yun ang mangyari, malaking gulo kasi ang in-expect dyan, pag na-militarize yan, pag nag-take off na nga sila sa Fiery Cross Reef, pinakita nila na a big commercial liner. Kasi laki ng mga sinasakyan natin aeroplano, pag pupunta tayo ng Hong Kong, ng Japan, can take off and land do sa 3,000-meter runway ng Fiery Cross Reef, which is just a few meters shorter than our NAIA runway. Ang ibig sabihin niyan, lahat ng klaseng aeroplano pwedeng magamit. Bomber, fighter jets. So ang worry ng iba, pag ito'y mangyari at hindi mapigilan, pag na-militarize, makukontrol nila yung South China Sea. They can deploy fighter jets which they have already deployed doon sa Woody Island. At pag ginawa nila yan, they can cover 1,000, just a 1,000-mile radius. Will cover the entire Philippines, buong Pilipinas, most of Borneo, most of Malaysia, and most of Vietnam. At baka maglagay sila ng aerial defense identification zone, which is going to complicate commercial traffic. Baka magkaroon ng miscalculation dyan. Pagkatapos, baka maglagay sila ng other anti-access area denial weapons like, God forbid, no? Ito magiging provocative talaga. Pero nakalagay yan sa isang Ministry of Defense study ng Japan. Pinag-aralan nila, ang pwedeng mangyari daw, baka maglagay ng Dongfeng 21D missiles doon. Ano ba yan? Ito yung tinatawag na carrier killers with a radius of about 1,500 kilometers, maybe even beyond, that will push out the aircraft carriers of the U.S. away from the Philippines, away from the South China Sea, and maybe back to the Guam area. So medyo hihina ang puwersa, ang power projection ng United States Navy, which is their source of power. At nung isang linggo lamang, nagsalita si Admiral Harris sa US Congress. Sabi niya, ang tingin namin, what we see is that China is planning to become the hegemon of the West Pacific. Pag sinabing hegemon, boss, hari. Right now, the hegemon is the United States. Dahil sila ang mas may poder. Pero pag magawa nila yan, dahil nga sa nagbi-build up sila ng mga military might dito, yung island sila, pag makalabas yung kanilang PLA Navy, which is going to be very difficult from the East China Sea, passing to either the Bashi Channel or going through Japan, Taiwan, mapupush out nila. Ako, nagbigay ng comment diyan, sabi ko, China, we should resist the plan of China to become the hegemon because I don't think China will be a benign hegemon. Hindi magiging mabait na hegemon yan. Anong patunay? Yung ginagawa nila sa Tibet. Meron doon, maraming pinapiring squadron. Sa Xinjiang, yung mga Uyghur. Medyo marami in-execute doon dahil nga sa ganyan. Pero isang idadagdag ko, Brother Eddie. Let's go back to 2005. Yun yung JMSU, Joint Marine Seismic Undertaking. I criticized that when I was in Congress. Dahil sabi ko, pero pinabayaan natin ng China to this JMSU to survey most of the West Philippine Sea. Hindi natin alam kung ano nakita nila ron. I think that may be one of the reasons why they're so aggressive. Maybe they saw something, a lot of things there. That,
Huge of hidden treasures.
Oo, na hindi nila sinabi sa atin. Ang problema kasi, kanila yung survey ship, kanila yung mga computer na ginamit, at mukhang walang pinasang data sa atin. O kung meron man, baka mga basurang data. Ito yung tripartite agreement between the PNOC with the Chinese National Oil Company and Petro-Vietnam na tinutulan ng marami. In fact, a lot of people say it was a sellout. So, pag pinag-ugnay-ugnay mo yan, yan ang marahil ang dahilan kung bakit napaka-agresibo sila. Maybe they saw something there that we don't know.
Secretary Almonte, in the light of the alarming possible development na nangyayari ngayon, yung alarming researched information from Congressman Goles, ano po ang dapat na maging stand or ready action ng ating pamahalaan plus the so-called EDCA agreement which was approved by the Supreme Court as constitutional. Ano ito po ba ay mayroong relevance?
Yeah, Brother Eddie, before I answer that, you asked a very important question, and I think Congressman Goles gave a very good answers. But may I just, before I answer the question, may I just put a context to the answer, to possible answer to your question. Well, number one, the 21st century will really be defined by the relationship between China and the United States. That's number one. Number two, China and the United States understand that going to war, fighting each other, will not serve their interest. That's number two. So as a consequence, what they're doing is this. Where they can cooperate, they cooperate. That's why they have these trade, economic relationships that are beneficial to both. Where it is necessary to compete, they compete. When their competition becomes so intense, it threatens their mutual relationship, beneficial relationships. They work together to look for points of consensus which could restore the earlier beneficial relationships. Now, the China, President Xi Jinping, for instance, when he went to visit the United States, not this September, when he was not yet president, I think it's President Hu Jintao. You will recall that in their view, the relation between the United States and China are very stable because, according to them, there are 95 institutions or points of contact between the United States and China. And every year, they have this strategic economic dialogue, which is being held alternately in Beijing or in Washington. And I think the last one was held in Washington. So, more or less, this is the context of the relationship. But beyond this is the competition that really the context is in terms of a status quo power, which is the United States, and a power that is rising, which is China. Now, historically, this ends normally in violence. They call it the Thucydides trap. But I think they know this so well that they try to avoid it. However, and this is what I would like to really state in this context, that the ambition really of China is to control the South China Sea without firing a shot, without fighting, just using sand and water as their weapon, patience and time on the part of China. Now, if this happens, and as the developments in the South China Sea are indicating to us, it would appear that China may indeed succeed. Now, I think this is the one that really disturbs American policymakers, because if the South China Sea is indeed controlled by China without firing a shot, it will have a very serious impact in terms of America's global leadership.
There is an information na ang much awaited decision ng United Nations Permanent Tribunal on this matter could be released after the elections. After the election, so that such decision could not be used as an issue, additional issue sa coming election. If that happens, na after the election pa, ano po ang dapat inaasahang dapat gawin ng sino mang maaaring mahalal na Pangulo sa ating bansa, sa new leadership after this coming election? Pero bago po ninyo sagutin to, ay bigyan mo na sandali pagkakataon ang ilang mahalagang paalala. Magbabalik po agad ang No Holds Barred question ng No Holds Barred program ng Diyos at Bayan. Huwag po kayong alis. Nagbabalik po ang Diyos at Bayan sa ating paksang Agawan ng Teritoryo. Bago natin marinig si Congressman Goles sa kanyang additional remarks tungkol po sa ating pinag-uusapan, ay atin basahin lang po natin sandali ang mga humabol ng mga katanungan mula kay Rose Manuel ng Taguig. Nais ko lang po linawin. Una, bakit hinayaan pa nila na lumala ang sitwasyon? Alam naman nila na ang interest ng China sa ating teritoryo. Pangalawa, anong kasiguruduhan na pwede nating panghawakan sa gobyerno natin ngayon upang teritoryo natin ay mapasa atin pa din? Pangatlo, assurance po anong aksyon ang pwede nilang gawin sa international law. Mula naman kay Facebook naman ito, user Maximum Buenaventura, napakalino naman talaga na ipinakikita ng China sila ngayon ang malakas kaysa noon. Kaya kung sino man ang magtatangka, tiyak magaganap ang digmaan. Wala naman lakas ang Pilipinas para itapat sa kanilang military power. Kasi puro kurakot at kayabangan ang mga namumuno sa gobyerno ng Pilipinas, sariling interest ika nga. Ito po ay mula kay Maximum Buenaventura. Mula naman kay Fernan Espiritu, Pasig, bakit po kaya ganun nalang kabilis ang pananakop ng bansang China sa mga teritoryo natin? Hindi po kaya naibenta na ng palihim ng nakaraan o kasalukuyang administrasyon ng mga islang ito? Kasi po halos walang magawa ang ating gobyerno para ipaglaban ito. Hindi naman siguro ganun. Mula kay Remedios Santiago ng Manila, marami nang naipakita ang ating gobyerno na nagpapatunay ng ating bansang Pilipinas ay siyang nagmamay-ari ng West Philippine Sea. Bakit ang bilis ng China upang maglagay ng mga barko sa ating isla? Anong aksyon ang ginagawa ng ating gobyerno? Congressman Goles po.
Sagutin ko lang yung una, yung pangamba na baka masyado tayong maliit at hindi natin makaya. Totoo yan kung ang magkatapat China at Pilipinas. Pero hindi ganun kasimple ang international relations. Parating nagkakaroon ng mga alliances, no? pag merong isang lumalaki at nagiging bully, nagtitrigger ng alliances. And if you look at the history of warfare, even during the time of Napoleon, dominant power, pero nagkaroon ng all kinds of coalitions that finally ended the power of Napoleon. Dito, hindi tayo nag-iisa kasi common ground sa pinag-uusapan dito, global commons. Everybody's interested. Nobody wants to yield the South China Sea to a hegemon, no? To a power like China. EDCA is another thing. EDCA will help the United States push back. Pag ma-activate na yung mga rotational bases, it will help the United States push back. Although what China is doing, nagka-counter sila. Nabanggit nyo, naglagay sila ng radar sa, nabanggit sa balita kanina, Quarteron Reef. Malayo sa atin yan, that's about 350 nautical miles away, outside our exclusive economic zone. Pero, makukover niyan yung buong Pilipinas, makikita yung mga aeroplano, mga vapor doon, at posible, ang tinatarget nila, just in case mag-deploy ng Amerika ng mga aeroplano at vapor. Pero sabi ng mga Amerika, oh, we can also neutralize that radar using electronic countermeasures. So, ganun ang labanan dito, pagandahan ng technology.
Secretary Almonte, meron lang akong ihahabol na katanungan kasi nakapending pa yung decision sa United Nations Permanent Tribunal tungkol sa issue na ito. Pero merong ilang mga presidential bulls yatang nabasa ko sa dyaryo na ang gusto magkaroon na ng bilateral negotiations ang Philippine government sa China. Ito po ba nararapat even before the so-called much-awaited decision ng United Nations?
You know, Brother Eddie, I think the best for the nation is for our presidential candidates to clearly state their position on the South China Sea, West Philippine Sea, so that the nation can judge exactly what they will do. Now, in relation to your question, my sense is this, that after this has been brought to the UN Permanent Court of Arbitration, and after EDCA has been confirmed by the Supreme Court, these two factors created a new situation, which more or less limit the space for flexibility of any future president. They'll have to look at that. Otherwise, the nation and the world will see through to who they are. But I think to their credit, my sense is this, to their credit, I think that whoever is elected will follow these established policies that had been in place before them. And I think one of them, like the one in the UN court, permanent court, is still in progress, a work in progress. So we do not know, but I think the most important, Brother Eddie, and I think the nation should ask them, they should tell the nation exactly what is their policy in the West Philippine Sea. Now, about talking to China bilateral, you know, this government has not been lacking in talking to China. Actually, the government was compelled to bring this to the UN Court of Arbitration after the Chinese, you know, the U.S. brokered a deal in the Scarborough Shoal for both China and the Philippines to mutually leave the area. The Philippines left, China stayed there, and the broker did not do anything, which, you know, you have to understand this in the context of the larger situation, rather than blaming the United States or what. But you have to understand this in the context of a larger consideration. And that is, I think, what will more or less happen after. So, but I think, I'll repeat, let us ask our presidential candidates to clearly state their policy, their position on the West Philippine Sea, so that we can judge more or less what they will be as president relative to China.
Medyo nakapagtataka ho kasi na despite of the seriousness of this international problem ng ating bansa vis-a-vis China, hindi ko yata naririnig ang preparedness ng mga presidentiables in confronting the possible consequences dito ho sa problemang ito. Kaya tingin ko, they should humble themselves to be educated by both of you, no? Tungkol sa ganitong issue.
Meron naman dalawa. Hindi ko mabanggitin yung pangalan. Yung isa, klaro sa kanyang statement. Sabi niya, the West Philippine Sea is ours. Ang kailangan natin, palakasin ang Philippine Coast Guard at ang Armed Forces. Lalo na yung Navy at yung Air Force. Yung isa naman, will just continue the existing policy. So, pero may isa nagsabi bilateral. Ayun, talagang no-no ang bilateral. Kasi sa bilateral, ang gusto ng China, unless they change this, accept muna natin yung sovereignty. Tapos paghati-hatian natin yung tinuturing na kanila at ipaparte sa atin. I was a personal witness to that. Nung mag-state visit si President Gloria Macapagal-Arroyo sa Beijing 2002, gusto namin pag-usapan yun. Ando si President Jiang Zemin. Pero sabi niya, no, that is not the time. Let's find a better time. Parating ganun ang laro nila. Postpone. Pero pinapalakas nila yung paghawak nila doon sa mga area natin, pinapasok nila yung lugar natin. So talagang useless yung bilateral. We cannot trust their word. They reneged on their promise sa Mischief Reef, also sa Scarborough Shoal.
Pwede po bang ibigay niyo ngayon ang closing remarks? At medyo kinapos na po tayo ng panahon. Congressman Goles, tungkol po rito sa isyong ito, ano pong inyong masasabi sa ating mamamayan as a former National Security Secretary ng Republika ng Pilipinas?
Opo, ito pong West Philippine Sea, yung kabuuan South China Sea, mas palaki natin West Pacific area, Indo-Pacific area, ay isang malaking banta para sa Pilipinas. Ito ay dapat ma-manage na maayos. Napakagulo nito. Ang darating na Kongreso, ang darating na Presidente, ay magiging napaka-importante sa pagtalakay ng issue na ito. Kahit naswertihin tayo na manalo tayo dito sa arbitral tribunal ruling, marami pang gagawin. Marami pang komplikasyon. Pero dapat ang Pilipino ay magsalita ng magkaisa rito. Huwag nating kalimutan yung inagaw nilang Mischief Reef noong 1995. Huwag nating kalimutan yung inagaw nilang Scarborough Shoal noong 2012. Ipaglaban natin ang West Philippine Sea.
At lately, itong Quirino Island sa Palawan.
Paglaban yan, kasama na. Pag sinabing West Philippine Sea, kasama na lahat yan.
Salamat po, Congressman Roylo Goles. At General Sel Monte, please, closing.
Well, may I just say this. The West Philippine Sea, South China Sea is very important. In the sense that that is not our only exclusive economic zone. The Philippines is an archipelago. And we have exclusive economic zone in the east. And the resources in the east, in East Philippine Sea, in terms of value, is really nothing compared. The South China Sea resources cannot compare to the South Philippine Sea. Just in the Philippine Deep, given the problem today of climate change, which needs what do you call this, clean energy, affordable, and inexhaustible. In the West Philippine Deep, you have deuterium, which can provide energy to stove, to land transport, to aviation fuel, to rocket transport, and that is inexhaustible. Now you have the Benham Plateau, and I understand Japan and Korea are now beginning to find out what's really in there. But I suspect there is so much resources there. So if we do not make our case, well in the West Philippine Sea, we might be jeopardizing all the others resources in around the Philippine archipelago, which are all within our maritime entitlements insofar as the UNCLOS is concerned. That's why I said, if I may say as a last statement, the statement of our presidential leaders on what they would like to do in the West Philippine Sea is crucial, not only because of the West Philippine Sea, but all the other areas around the archipelago.
Well, maraming salamat po, Secretary Selmonte, Congressman Roylo Goles. Alam ko po na very thankful ang sambayan ng Pilipino sa mga narinig sa inyo, ng mga gems of wisdom. At bilang huling pananalita po natin sa programang ito, maliwanag po na napakahalaga ang role ng moral ascendancy ng leadership ng Philippine government vis-a-vis the international community of nations. Sapagkat ito pong key para yung mga alliances ng mga different countries ay talagang makakampi ng katwiran ng Philippine government against the so-called common enemy. It appears ang invasion po, shameless invasion ng China sa mga teritoryong hindi naman kanila. At dahil po roon ay mahalaga po ang tinatawag na unity of the Filipino race. Dahil naalala ko po yung salitang united we stand, divided we fall. At mahalaga po, last but not least, yung ating sama-samang pagdarasal sa Diyos. Bakit po? Sabi po ng Diyos sa John 15 verse 5, apart from me, you can do nothing. At pero kapag ang Diyos po'y nakialam, maranasan natin nakalagay sa Book of Deuteronomy, yun hong 1 can chase 1,000, 2 can put 10,000 to flight. Kaya ho, mahalaga yung salita rin sa Deuteronomy chapter 28. Yung sabi po roon, if you fully obey and carefully follow all my commands, sabi po ng Diyos, I will exalt your nations above all nations of the earth. I will command the coming of the blessings to you, not disasters, calamities, not even wars, but I will command the coming of the blessings to you, and blessings will overtake you. You will no longer beg, you will no longer borrow, but you will lend. Your enemy, makikita po ninyo dun sa provisions ng Deuteronomy 28, verses 1 to 14, blessings through obedience, your enemy will come to you in one way. But that enemy will run away from you in great fear 7 ways, if you fully obey and carefully follow the commands of the Lord. So ito po ang ating gustong huling sabihin. Bago tayo magwakas, ito po si Brother Eddie Villanueva na nagsasabi po sa inyo na patuloy po nating ipanalangin ang ating bansa at lagi pong tumutok sa programang ito ng Diyos at Bayan na patuloy ang paninindigan sa katotohanan at katwiran at katarungan para sa ikabubuti ng sambayan ng Pilipino. God bless you all, and to God be the glory.